So I've modified this application so that the user now does not have to type in their responses. You can just record from microphone and basically just talk or speak rather than having to type it out, which is anyway how real interviews typically work. So let's go through a demo of this. So the first question GPT is asking is, can you describe two examples of business problems where linear regression can be used? Sure. So one example I can think of is you can use linear regression to predict the price of a house using input variables such as the area of the house in square feet, the number of rooms, the location, etc. So now I can transcribe this. So you can see that this is the transcription. So it says, so one example I can think of is you can use regression to predict the price of a house using input variables such as area of the house in square feet. So it's actually pretty accurate. And now I can hit enter to just submit my response. And I would expect ChatGPT to come back with the next question. So it says, very good, that is indeed a common business problem where regression can be used. Can you give me one more example of a business problem? So let me try another one. Sure. Another example problem is I can use linear regression to predict the sales of a product, for example, in an e-commerce company, using input variables such as the advertisement spends, the various marketing channels used, the prices of competitors' products, the size of my sales staff, etc. Let me transcribe this again. Wow, it's taking like 16-17 seconds. Okay, so you can see another example problem is I can use linear regression to predict sales of a product in an e-commerce company, advertisement sense, marketing channels. So this is decent, this is pretty accurate actually. Let me submit this. The next question is, what are the assumptions of linear regression? Okay, let's try. Sure. So one assumption is that the target variable is linearly related to at least one of the independent variables. And another assumption is that the input variables or the independent variables themselves are not correlated with each other. Let's try. This one was fast. So one assumption is that the target variable is linearly related to at least one of the independent variables. Another is that input variables are not correlated. Okay, pretty good. Let me submit this. Interesting. So the next question it asks is, okay, we often characterize the assumptions. So it is actually providing 4 hints that here are the 4 assumptions: linearity, independence, normality, etc. Are you familiar with these assumptions? Can you elaborate a bit more? Let's say I don't know any of these, so let me just put that in. I'm sorry, I don't think I know or I understand any of these assumptions very well. Any of these assumptions very well. Let me get the response. So then it basically goes on to explain these assumptions to me and then asks, do you need any further clarification on these assumptions? Hmm. No, thank you. I don't need any further clarification. These are very clear now. We can move on to the next question. Okay, let's see what's the next question. When should you use a simple linear regression model versus a multiple linear regression model? Let's take a shot. Sure, so simple linear regression is used when the target variable is dependent on only one input variable, while you would use multiple linear regression when the target variable is dependent on more than one input variables. Okay, let's see. So it says, good, let me ask a follow-up question. What is the main advantage of using multiple regression over simple regression? So yeah, this will basically go just will continue. And now what I can do is I can end my interview and see feedback. Let's try that. Okay, so it says it says your score is 78%, and here are the here's the feedback on each of the responses. So you can see that on my first response I got a score of 10, and then there's some feedback, and then score of 8 on the second question. Let's see one of the bad responses. So yeah, here I said, I'm sorry, I don't think I know or I understand any of these assumptions. So it actually gave me a 3 and then said the candidate is not familiar with the assumptions and so on. And yeah, so that's basically that.